Okay, hey guys, go talk about PXMD. Here, I actually long this at market open on the pullback. We're going to explain why I thought this was strong. But first, let's look at the pre-market action, right? PXMD seemingly did a quick pre-market pop, and I actually saw this too late. By the time I saw this, it was on this candle um, right here. And by the time I went to locate shares, it already pulled back sub $5, and I was too slow. But it seemed like that, made a quick, 80, 90% pop. Volume was okay. It was under 100K, but nothing too impressive. And really, I love to see, a first big pop, a pullback, even on the 1 minute, a second pop that starts to stall and fail and show a lot of weakness, and then, if I think quick pre-market pops happen, I try to get in near the top, catch the fade, right? And a few people in my Discord room, more information on the Discord room below in the description, we're hitting this in the 550s. I was like, yeah, maybe, quick pre-market pop, pattern could work. We got they got instant continuation. It broke. It was hitting 4.5, so they got an instant 20% pullback. I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. But then, I'm always watching the 1 minute 9, 1 minute 20. I see the silk on the 1 minute 9, and we get this big aggressive 25% push, which absolutely should not happen in a quick pre-market pop setting, especially with this type of massively increasing volume. And yeah, the pattern didn't work, and we always have to remember that a big thing that changed, and I would say the change happened on Friday with TNON, with the after hours action, where we went through a period post TPST of weakness, right? We were getting a ton of pre-market fades, a ton of pre-market pops, like weak pre-market action, weak market open action happening over and over and over and over again. TNON comes along, seems to do the same thing, right? After our squeeze, right? And not only after our squeeze, but continuation the next day. And of course, LIFW yesterday, insane, massive reg show squeezer. And yeah, so we got this change, this initial burst in liquidity in small caps. And, you never know which tickers are going to have the liquidity, which ones aren't going to have the liquidity. I always think you trade your patterns, you make your reads, you get good averages, and a lot of times when stuff gets stronger, your first patterns aren't going to work, and that's just the way it kind of is. Other tickers, even in strong markets, they will work. So it's just a game you play. When things get stronger, you get bigger gaps, you get more runners, but at the same time you get more strength, right? So there's more range, there's more opportunity, but things are stronger. It tends to find support. Ring tends to be um, you know, more consistent. You get more short traps, you get more squeezes. And this is really the type of market where good habits, um, understanding of structure, understanding of patterns is important, which is why I didn't want to chase. In this case, I'm not chasing sub VWAP, right? I just reserve shares and I missed a fade. I'm like, all right, I'm just not in a trade. We get a squeeze, and then we start getting extremely this in strong cycles, this type of price action. I don't know what's happening here. This type of I always talk about accumulation, right? Where it's like very consistent, good. This is a $6 stock trading, 200K, 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 150K, 200K, and just making new high day, new high day, new high day, new high day. I consider that very bullish. I consider the volume bullish, the accumulation bullish. And I consider this pullback. I always talk about quick pullbacks from high day. Um, can also be bullish. So quick pullbacks like this invite shorts to chase at lower averages, right? So I was taking a bullish bias on this, and then I saw this rotation, makes this big aggressive rotation up to 6.5 key level and rejects it. And a few people in my room took this, and I'm like, that's not a bad short. That's really because you never know, even with the pre-market accumulation, how strong a ticker is going to be, right? And this is a very, retail long trap type pattern. You get in on the 6 feet. You see this big you see the big volume come in. You see the 6.5 level get swiped, and if you have a bearish bias, you just make the choice like, hey, I think this rotation is a long trap. I think this is not going to continue going up. And especially you had this like painted $6 support level. Like, hey, they're holding 6 on purpose. Retail's going to use that as their support. I'll take 6.5, and it seemed to work. 6.5 and an immediate $6 swipe down to VWAP, right? So immediate 10% dump. And I didn't take it because I was like, I saw this volume and I saw this candle. I'm like, this could be kind of a short trap. I'm going to wait. And I was telling my Discord and information down below in the description that Saddam's like, hey, like on this type of volume with this type of strength, you really want structure, right? You want to see the structure. Um, when the cycle gets stronger, long traps tend to form. You get more short squeezes, and long traps tend to take some time to build their levels, paint their flags, and give their initiations right to the upside, and that's when you really want to make a decision. So anyway, I noticed in the market open that they are painting a retail flag, right? You got your higher lows, you got your lower highs, got your trend lines. It's getting really tight, and retail's always taught that when you get a clean flag like this, if you get big volume to the upside, that's bullish, right? This is how like large caps move, right? But in low float land, they're often massive traps, right? You never want if retail can see the long trap, it's not it can see the long, it's not a good long, right? But I'm bullish. I was quite I was with the cycle change, with the accumulation volume, I was potentially bullish this. I was like, all right, I'm not in this candle up here. I'm definitely not going to be, um, I'm not. To me, in my mind, like this is where the real trade is. And if you're not in the real trade, and this is exactly why this chart is exactly why. Like these little rotations here aren't bad, but I really like to have my average as close to high day as possible, as close to the top of the long trap as possible. And just something I learned over time was to, if you miss the move, then you just shouldn't be in, right? Just because unless you get a secondary pattern later on, right? So anyway, what do we get? Market opens. You get a big. So how this worked? You got a big push. It broke the trend lines, right? Big volume coming in, and always pay attention to market open volume. What's the market open volume? It was like right off the bat, it was like 500,000 shares in like 20 seconds. Right? I'm like, okay, this is going to be big, big, big volume. But I'm expecting the retail push to fail, and I wasn't looking to short this. I was actually looking to read what happened afterwards, right? And I'm going to make a video of low flow order book manipulation, right? I think it might be my most important video yet, and it's based on the Bookmap. It really shows you and I've talked about this in my recent videos, it really shows you what is happening on the order book, how how does a stock go from 5.6 to an up halt into multiple squeezes, right? Like this. Like, how does a low flow, like, what are the mechanics of low floats, right? Like, what are the mechanics of order book manipulation, right? Because the order book, this is the market. The order book is the market, right? The market is where are the orders on the book and where are people buying and selling, right? That's what the market is. So in low floats, the manipulation is very extreme. It's very, very extreme. And they abuse how the order book forms to initiate squeezes. So anyways, here's market open. Here's your little retail long trap push, little retail bull flag. And then, as you see, no bids follow it up, and they just pull it, right? You get an instant, like, 10% pullback. Because they know people are just slapping this. People are just slapping these green bubbles or market orders. People are just slapping. There's no real bid support. There was bid support down here in the 5.7s and 5.5s. But on the initiation, there's no bids. And market makers they could just dump. As soon as the retail long trap has been set, they can dump, right? But it works both ways, right? And the way short traps work on low floats, and we saw this with if you go back to my SASI video, you'll see the same thing. You'll see a quick dump. And quick dumps are important in low floats because when you get quick dumps, the order book after the, and it's the same thing on the big pushes. The order book to the upside is almost completely empty. Um, and this is where you start to really realize that what the algo is doing is that they're setting levels that like here you could see the orders stacked up here. Like they're setting these levels beforehand, they're pushing to these levels with no real bid support. So it's it's retail slapping, it's the rigor slapping. They're just moving the stock how they want. Retail's following, and they know, okay, there's no bid, so let's pull the stock, which is like it pushes to the level they want, and then they start dumping the stock. But now we have the opposite, where the way the best short traps work is you get these quick, insane dumps into a ton of bid support that the algo put there ahead of time, right? And we saw this on SASI too, where you get a high day clear out, an instant 10-15% pullback, and then at the lows, they start stacking tons and tons of bids, right? With no offers to the upside. Real stocks, if you actually look at the book map of like a real stock, by real stock, I mean something that's like 200, 300 $1 million market cap, 50 million flow, high institutional ownership, real company, has some revenues, maybe makes some profits, um, those stocks will have offers all over the place. There'll be offers, every 1 cent, there'll be like 10K here, 10K here, 20K here, 20K here. And low floats, what you get, and if we move over here, you'll see, and this, and Thinkorswim Bookmap doesn't show all the orders, but it shows enough for you to understand the concept of, it's like, okay, well, they'll put like 2, 3, 4,000 every 1 cent here, but then up here, it's like you can see right here, there's like 200 orders here, 300 orders here. Like if you zoom in, some of these prices only have 50 orders, 300 orders, 100 orders, right? And there is slightly more than this. Like I said, Bookmap doesn't show every single order, um, but you get the general idea of empty space, very little orders, and that's why when they bring it down to the support level they want, I saw this bid. And if we look at the chart, we have these lows. I saw them swipe these lows, right? So you swipe any longs who are risking these lows. Here's where the bids are, right? And then there's nothing but empty space pretty much all the way up to the 620s, which is why it started uh, struggling here, right? Not struggling, but it started, uh, making some lows, pulling back a little bit. And you could tell they're starting to throw in the bids. This is how you notice, right? Like this, the best short traps and the best longs and low floats, you'll have some type of initiation, and they'll start throwing, like the algo is just throwing these bids here to make sure like here, it falls right to this bid that they threw up right here, and then they initiate to the uphold, right? So I actually long this at 5.8. I long this here on this rotation. In fact, if anything, it's a little early, but usually what happens is it bounces around here for a couple of minutes and then goes. But then I saw this volume come in, and I was like, all right, I'll long into the low 580s here, and I'll just risk in the 550s down here. I'll risk these bids, and you can see all these bids getting stacked. There's from 550 to 535. There's tons and tons of bids. Support the stock, and I was like, all right, I'll just have 30-cent risk. I'll size in accordingly, and I'll risk those bids. I like that there's no offers at upside, and in this case, they just did it right away, which is great. I like, I like that I was long and I did it right away. And then some other important factors of this chart. It uphalted below higher day. Usually uphalts below higher day, especially at market open, especially on painted, crazy low float stocks. During a potential strong cycle, a lot of bullish factors adding up. A lot of times uphalts below higher day are super strong. They're super, super, super strong because all these shorts who were short pre-market, and sadly a few people in my room were also short. I don't blame them. Like I said, I don't blame anyone for shorting up here, shorting up here for good averages. But I will say, if you see an uphalt below higher day like this, and this happened to me on TPSC when I took a loss on TPSC's Black Swan Day. it's super bullish because all these shorts. The reason you get such a big gap is because all these shorts are stuck. They're all stuck, and sometimes you do get like an up halt into a high day clear out into a down halt that fades. Sometimes like crazy stuff like that happens, but overall, um, if I'm caught short in an up halt below high day and my risk was high day and it gaps up above high day, I instant market order the moment it unhalts. I get out completely. I just get out my full position. That's why down on TPST, and if you remember TPST, um, on Black Swan Day had that up halt, broke high day at 2.5, and then down halted and looked really, really weak, and I got out, right? I wasn't holding through that. Some shorts will hold through that. I don't hold through that. But I was long 580s on this. I um, I sold some into this. This up haul happened so quick. I sold into this up haul, and I sold the rest in the low nines. I think I got like 9 10s or so. I didn't get $10 plus, but I did get about a $2.50 move out of this. So it was about a 40% winner. One of my best trades of the day. And then the only real short on the backside. When I get down halts, another thing I'll tell you, I don't short out of down halts. I never do that. Ideally, I like to see a bounce. I like to see where the lower high of that bounce is, and I like to see that lower high get broken. Um, I liked the aggressiveness here. This deep pullback to this 15% move that broke this lower high right here. But it was so whippy and so fast that I didn't act in time. I didn't get in here, and I didn't chase. Obviously it wasn't a chase in retrospect, but I didn't get in the low eights, and I ended up not actually catching the down only fade. I was kind of hoping it would rotate at least above 6.7s, and I thought this had the best chance. But right here, they ended up just swiping. There's a 6.5 level. Actually, this was interesting. This was a Bookmap read I should have been reading, but I was too busy, I think, trading CDIO to notice it. So before the pull here. So we kind of had this painted, like 6.46 level, and 6.5 is right above it. I was kind of hoping it would at least, push above here. But, you get this kind of like 45-minute long consolidation. You get the rotation above 6.5. And it actually did something very bearish, which is, and sometimes I have this read on the backside, where you get your, 6.5 swipe. Here's the ask they put. Again, look at all this empty space right here. Like, there's all this empty space, and then they put this ask here ahead of time to catch the backside push, right? And here's 6.7s up here. You get a push, you get a low volume pullback, and then they start stacking the ask again. And a lot of times when you see when you get low volume pullbacks, and then the ask starts stacking a second time, this is after this swipe. That is often, if the volume doesn't come in, a lot of times this is very, very bearish. But I wasn't making this read. I think I just had an alert up here, like I had my alert up here, didn't really get hit, and I really didn't see this in real time. So, but I did think it was interesting on the Bookmap. But yeah, so strong market cycle. This is strong market cycle stuff. Strong market cycle accumulation. Here's your paint job. Fake out retail longs, throw up a bunch of bids at support, rotate it through the empty space, massive squeeze, and then some backside stuff for the down only. So interesting ticker. My biggest winner today by far. Caught a nice little 40% move. Would have been sweet if I caught 40% moves both ways, but I'll take one of them. So yeah. Interesting, a lot of interesting low floaty type stuff happening here. So hope that was nice. I'll make a video on CDIO. Took an L on that, and then I made a little bit of it back, and I'm swinging some of it. I'll see how it goes. But yeah, that one was a little more frustrating. So hope you have a good one, guys. See you.